Hello and welcome to another strategy video for Gears of War 4's Horde mode. This time I'm going to be talking about the Engineer class for both solo and team play, as well as my strategies for those. So let's get started with solo play. Sometimes it's hard to arrange a team, maybe your friends aren't around, and public matchmaking is really unreliable with Horde lately. So you just want to play and not deal with any of that mess, and solo play is the quickest way to get into it without trying to depend on other people for your fun. So I think the Engineer is the best class for solo play, and I'll tell you why. It's because of the deep discounts that you get on all the fortifications. The heart of Horde mode is placing your fabricator somewhere and building a base around that and trying to keep the enemies away from you, right? And having a class that is able to afford more fortifications and repair them faster and more effectively and cheaper, and as well as having extra health on top of all those fortifications, that's key. So that's the Engineer right there in a nutshell. It's all of those things. And the layout that I've got on the screen here, I think, is the preferred loadout that you should go with for your skill cards. Barrier cost, decoy cost, turret cost, fortification health, and repair boost. Now, those first three, barrier, decoy, and turret, I pick those because they're the most used fortifications of everything that you're going to have access to. The barriers, right, are absolutely critical for keeping the riffraff out of your base, right? Locust, or I said locusts, I guess swarm drones. Maybe this summer we'll see locusts, hopefully. But the swarm drones and peacemakers and trackers and juvies and things like that, right? The barriers are going to keep them out, so that's all critical, right? Kind of a non-negotiable fortification. Everybody should be playing with those. Unless you just want to get crazy and try something really different for the sake of doing it. Decoys, you're going to need those for keeping the bosses off of you so that they don't just make a beeline right for your base and destroy everything around you, right? Put some decoys out there, and that's going to allow you to concentrate your fire on the boss while they're occupied. And you're going to want to do that with the turret, right? The third card there, the turret cost. So especially as an Engineer, right, you're not getting any damage bonuses for any weapons or anything like the heavy or scout, so the turret is going to be your most damaging and most effective weapon available with the most rounds to it. So those three, along with the fortification health that's going to help them last longer so you don't quite have to babysit them as constantly. I mean, you're going to be running from thing to thing and repairing it in between rounds as much as you can anyway. But hopefully that 35% extra health card is going to get those barricades and fortifications through the round, right? You want to have everything try to make it through the round so that you can have time to repair it between waves. So that's the idea there. I choose all of those. Now, for team play, honestly, it's the same loadout for me. I go with this same loadout all the time for team play. The only time that I ever really swap anything out is maybe fortification health I would swap out for sentry cost, depending on what my teammates want to do. Sometimes you get into games and the team might want to go heavy on sentries because it's an easy way to get the fabricator leveled up really quickly, right? There's a current popular strategy out there right now where the scout will go and pick up the power from a destroyed sentry, and then they'll apply their 50% deposit bonus, so you're not losing a ton of money by having sentries get wrecked, but you're also spending a bunch of money to get the fabricator leveled up really quickly. Now I realize that sentry cost will make those cheaper, but I mean that also closes the gap of the money that you would be losing when they get destroyed, right? So it minimizes that. So I could see replacing fortification health with that if that's the way that your team wants to play. However, I do think that there's value to be found in having that extra 35% health for the rest of the fortifications that you're going to be placing, because you're going to use a lot of decoys. You're going to try to buy probably 4, maybe even 5 turrets, and you're going to buy a ton of barriers. So being able to have an extra third of the health bar applied to each of those is again going to take a little bit of the pressure off of you to keep everything repaired immediately, and you know, they're going to be able to survive a bit of a disaster, like say something happens where your decoys are shot down or whatever, and the boss happens to rush into your fort, maybe that extra third of health for everything is going to make the difference to having you guys just get completely, completely wiped out, or having everything in your base destroyed or overrun. Who knows? So that's kind of why I like to fall back on that one. Now that's a general skill as well, and not a engineer skill, so anybody could equip that, but really there's no point in having anybody but the engineer equip it, because the engineer is the one who's going to be getting all the discounts on the important fortifications anyway. So keep that in mind. But that about covers it for both solo and team play with the engineer class. I'm also going to have videos on my channel covering the scout, heavy, and soldier class, so if you're interested in seeing that, do check it out. Alright, thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll run into each other out there. Good luck!